Hello, everyone, and welcome to Artists in Residence. This is a series of virtual studio visits that the Galleries is doing with recent graduates from Moore College of Art and Design's class of 2020. Today we have with us Deanna Emmons. She is a Philadelphia-based interdisciplinary artist, curator, educator, performer, and organizer whose practice focuses on relational and civic engagement, community building, identity construction, the body, and storytelling. Within her work, she advocates for the arts as a platform for creative problem solving, freedom of expression, and both individual and community empowerment. She is a recent graduate of Moore's Curatorial Studies program with a double minor in photography and digital arts and creative writing. Since this program series is really about documenting and reflecting on what are truly historic world events, which we're all probably so tired of hearing that phrase at this point, but these are scary times. They're characterized by very real threats to our physical health and our emotional well-being. So I wanted to just start off by checking in with you. How are you doing?
Hi, well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here virtually. I have been doing, honestly, pretty well recently. I'm very, very lucky to be living in a wonderful household with good roommates and a nice backyard and a few cats. So that has definitely been keeping my spirits up. It took a long time to really feel comfortable with where I'm at in terms of my thesis project. But overall, as the months, however much time we've been in quarantine has progressed, I feel pretty okay with uncertainty and being flexible and more open-minded as to moving things forward and progressing ahead into the future. So I'm doing pretty well right now.
That's great. Well, you've had to be flexible, right? Because your project was initially supposed to take form of an installation in a gallery. It's obviously a very different format now. So can you talk to us a little bit about how you sort of made that transition, how the project has shifted as a result of the need to make it digital? Do you feel like it's the same work?
So originally, my plan for this installation was to find an actual couch. I was going to create an environment. And all of my previous work has been entirely conversation-based. It involves a lot of collaborative art making activities and in-person dialogue. So, I mean, if someone came up to me months ago and told me that my thesis project would result in the making of a website, I would have been like, no way, absolutely not. That's not what my practice is. I need to be in person with people making things and having conversations. So my original idea was going to be to, like I said, creating environments where I was going to find a couch or some kind of comfortable seating. And then I was going to I have an old telephone that I was going to wire and rig up these anonymous audio files sharing stories of anonymous stories that people have sent to me detailing their own experiences of care, listening in the human body. And my plan was for visitors to come into the gallery, enter this space, sit down on the couch or the chair or whatever it was, pick up the telephone like an old phone booth kind of, or making them feel as if they were maybe in their own living room, and then sitting down and listening to the stories. However, obviously, an installation, an in-person installation is not able to happen. So the first step I think I took in restructuring the project was to consider this to be phase one. So I still eventually want to create an installation, but I think the process of reworking the entire project has made me also reconsider how I plan to create the installation. But like I said, initially my first step was to consider this as phase one, where I was like, oh, I have to, now we're in a pandemic, and since my project is somewhat adjacent to arts and public health, I have to immediately start thinking about how I can restructure this project to better address the pandemic. And that became overwhelming. I felt like I had to go back and like reconduct interviews. I was reaching out to other people, and then I realized, we're in the midst of a crisis and people need time to care for themselves. We can't just expect folks to re-enter this like new way of life and still working and being as productive as they were before this. So I decided to work with what I already had. And when I was writing my original thesis document, I had all of these wonderful conversations and interviews with Creative Resilience Collective and also Apprentice de Salud, which are both our initiatives and organizations in Philadelphia that address public health, mental wellness, care, and the arts, and kind of blend them all together to serve larger social functions. And I decided, well, what can I do with those? How can I use these already existing audio files to develop some kind of experience digitally where my visitors can go and still listen and have that intimate experience that I wanted to create within the installation. So that's where the website came in. And as I was building the website, I was really considering how I could use like the advantages of like visitor experience that we have when we access online information in a way that provides my viewers or visitors with more agency to pick and choose what kind of listening experience they want to have. So that's where that came in. I decided to create another page for viewers to be able to submit their own stories, and that was not planned in the original installation. I additionally took all of the audio files and I thought about how to present content warnings a little bit more specifically than I had, as if I were creating the initial installation, because that was just going to be playing on loops. Really thinking about how viewers and visitors of the site can enter this space in a way that provides them with more autonomy over their own listening experiences, and maybe makes them feel like they have an option to participate further if they want to and learn more information. So I think overall, like, the process of restructuring the whole project has allowed me to really consider what my ideas of listening exchanges were.
Did you have experience building websites before you did this work, or did you just like jump right in and figure it out as you went along?
I have a little bit of experience from working with artist Tristan Lowe, building his website and working on that. So that was definitely really helpful, but I used Wix, and honestly, it was pretty user-friendly, easy to navigate. It took a long time, but honestly, I found myself enjoying it. Yeah.
So your project, you've written about how a lot of this is about encouraging active listening. And I'm really interested in hearing a little bit more about that from you. Can you tell us a little bit about what active listening means to you? And also, how can we do that remotely? How can we be active remote listeners?
Sure. So for me, how I would identify active listening is an exchange where you're receiving a story with an open mind, or receiving another person's experience with an open mind, listening with your whole body. For me, I find it helpful to sometimes close my eyes when I'm listening to these stories, or, place both my feet on the ground, or just place myself in a space where I'm comfortable and I'm ready to receive without being distracted, and really paying attention to the intent of respecting the storyteller and making sure that exchange is happening through the act of listening. I had a really great conversation a while ago when I was writing my paper with Brown's Foundation educator Linda Black about active listening and something she calls whole-bodied listening, which seems very is pretty similar just when you're speaking to often students or other people that you're collaboratively working with, making eye contact and really validating that listening experience and using your whole body to receive a story. And I think honestly, it probably is easier to active listen remotely from our own home spaces, because now with the website, you can pull up your phone or your laptop and enter a space that feels safe and comfortable to you to sit down, be in your own space, and really take a moment to reflect and receive the stories and stop them if you need to take a break or press play when you want to, or pause it, anything that makes the listener feel more comfortable and ready to receive the stories with an open mind.
So how are your interests showing up right now for you? What are the things that you're prioritizing? In other words, has this experience led you away from certain areas of interest and amplified others, or do you find that you're sort of sitting in the same space?
I've definitely, I think I've become more interested in the intersection of arts and public health. And with the beginning of this project, I was definitely thinking about and considering how we can use art initiatives and art making to holistically provide care, and thinking about the overall health ecologies of communities. And now, in a time when caring for ourselves and each other is so greatly important, it's almost as if artists and creatives, and especially these nonprofits or art initiatives that are doing so much fantastic work right now, are almost acting as second responders in a way to the situation. So that's definitely something I'm interested in seeing how that continues post-pandemic. And honestly thinking about researching it a little bit more and maybe even navigating in that direction for my master's. I'm not sure yet, but it's definitely something I've been thinking a lot about.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, how have you been caring for yourself right now? And also, are you involved in any sort of mutual aid networks, or are you caring for others as well?
Yeah, so it's really sweet. My mom is a very active sewer. So she's been making a lot of masks, and she sent me some patterns, and I have a machine. So I've been trying to get on the ball with that and just reaching out to as many people as possible, ensuring that folks are doing okay, checking in with people. And even in ways now, I think caring for ourselves also acts as an action for caring for others, just by being aware of where we're going, wearing masks, taking all the safety precautions and so on. And just making sure that I'm checking in with people and having open communication, and paying attention to what other artists and other community members in Philadelphia need right now, and seeing how I can help in that way. And I think for myself, just trying to not put so much pressure to be as insanely productive and as structured. I'm trying to be okay with the lack of structure. And I think I'm getting there, but it's taking a while.
How do you do that? Is it a conscious effort? I would love to know personally. Do you have any tips?
Yeah, I think definitely addressing taking tasks day by day feels really important to me, rather than looking at a list of things that I need to get done and rethinking or maybe restructuring the way that I see productivity. Because before this pandemic, I definitely felt myself like almost thriving during days when I felt like I had 10 places to be and like 10 things to do. Whereas now, if I only get a fraction of the things done that are on my list, I have to be like, it's okay, things are different. Mm-hmm. So just constantly like reassuring myself that even if I get something done or if I don't, it's okay. Like, we live in a different time now.
Do you have space to do work where you are right now? Do you have like a space that you have carved out?
Yeah, I think that's, I usually just try and get it done like wherever the Wi-Fi is best in my house, to be honest. Like, frankly, so I usually just end up doing it in the kitchen, and it is a little bit difficult because I have a lot of roommates and there's always constant activity happening, but everyone I live with is super respectful, and we're making sure to give each other the space to do the things that we need, and it's been working out pretty well so far.
Yeah, sounds like you're in a good place. Have you been revisiting like any of your older work as a result of what's happening now? Or are you just ready for the next thing, or to continue work on this ongoing project?
Yeah, so I think something that I'm really interested in doing is keeping the website active. I don't want it to just exist as something that I made and then it exists just as it is. I want to add new stories. I want to keep pursuing outreach. I just added a couple new stories last week, and both of them focus on what active listening means to the individual who submitted, and also caring for their older mother right now during the pandemic, and how they feel that has affected their relationship with their body. So that story is really interesting. I'm really glad that I got to put it on the website. And another thing that I've been doing with the project to move forward is I've been working with a friend by the name of Shannon, who runs like a gallery space in Southwest called the Window Room, and she's been doing a really great job at thinking about performance spaces and gallery spaces online. So now the Window Room, thewindowroomtv.com is a website where she developed this series called Care and Labor. So I've been working with her to see how both of our projects can kind of mingle and work together to see what other kinds of programming we can make. And that's also inspired me to consider how I can create digital programming from previous work that I've made in the past and include that on my website. So I think my plans for the future is something I want to do is like restructure a peanut butter and jelly sandwich making activity that focuses on like care and daily care rituals. And I think it would be really fun to have like a Zoom, like cooking, caring, talking activity that I broadcast on the website. So that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to, and I'm eager to get started on and keep the site rolling before I'm actually able to start building the installation.
Yeah, that's exciting. I just have one like final question for you. And it's really just, I'm interested if you are drawing any energy or inspiration from any specific sources right now. Like, are you reading anything really amazing, or listening to any music that's been like really motivating for you, or anything at all, any media that you're maybe ingesting? Or do you find that you're just like listening to or watching or listening to things that you have always fallen back on?
Yeah, I think I'm paying attention to how people I know are caring for themselves on the day-to-day, and how people are just getting by and what their new like care rituals are. Another thing that I've been helpful for me is just kind of trying to keep connected with like artist communities. I attended a few of the common field convening workshops, and they were really great. I went to one that was called a question party, and everyone sat in a room and did this like really cool free writing activity. So I think I've been taking inspiration from other people and just like trying to stay creative and write a little bit each day, or staying connected in ways that are also like somehow working in isolation too. So like that's been a really interesting experience.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for inviting us into your home and sharing a little bit about what this experience has been like. I know that I learned a lot from talking to you, and it was great just to catch up with you. And we definitely can't wait to see like what you have coming next. So
Awesome.
best wishes, and stay tuned for more episodes of Artists in Residence.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Take care.